Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Little Fellas Podcast. As you can see, we've got Craig Casey Johns with us. We're here, obviously, to discuss about the World Test Championship final, which is starting on Friday. Of course, India is taking on New Zealand, and of course, every cricket fan you can say is excited for this. It's the first ever World Test Championship final, and it is fair to say that the expectations and the buzz around the final is very big, and everyone's looking forward to the final. So, obviously, first things first, Johns, welcome to the show as usual. An absolute pleasure having you on.
Thanks a lot for inviting me. It has been a long time. We talked about IPL, and there has been a long gap due to this COVID pandemic, etc. But happy to be back here again.
Yeah, John. So obviously we are talking about the World Test Championship. Before we talk about this particular final in particular, first about the last 2 years. Of course, they started this format for the very first time a couple of years back. There's been a bunch of series which has happened. We had the COVID pandemic, which meant that many teams had to cancel the series, and not all the series which were scheduled were played. So talking about the format as a whole, what do you make of the format for the first time? Because it's the first ever time, and what do you make of the point system, the format, how you can argue that because you're playing lesser number of test matches in a series, it can be an advantage for points. So your thoughts on the whole format as such?
I think we need to give to ICC because it has been the first time we have seen this new kind of point system final for ICC. When there has been a few events like Asian Test Championship before 2000, but this is a new format for many people. So there has been some mistake, and I hope ICC will be correcting in the coming WTCs. And coming to this point system, or we can't have a flexible thing as first edition because big three like India, Australia, or England used to play four test matches or five test matches in a series. But some countries like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or New Zealand can't afford to play more than three test matches. So there will be some issues. There will be some issues even before the starting of WTC. Everyone knew this point system, etc. But we are hearing few news like there will be percentage system like we did in the after the COVID pandemic. So that might bring that flexibility factor. Even if you are playing three test matches or four test matches or five test matches in a series. So I hope there will be correct. There will be correcting those stages because you can't give like two test matches, just two wins, you will be getting 120 points. And a team like if in India and Australia has played four test matches, or India and or England played more test matches, so there will be lesser point for each win. But if you look at it to two test match series, there will be 60 points each for a win. I hope they will be correcting those changes. But even though they have conducted this World Test Championship really well, uh, even during the COVID pandemic, they made these percentage points, and we have some exciting series as well. We didn't knew who will be playing the finals. Like New Zealand home series was so exciting. Even fans from India or Australia, even from England, was eagerly waiting what will be happening in the New Zealand home season because some teams like India, we never thought India will be beating Australia with these B team or these A system players. But so everyone was thinking one draw from New Zealand that might be helping India. So it gives that push for each series and the importance to each series. I hope they will be they are continuing with the WTC till 2031. So these are good signs, and they need to improve as well. I hope ICC will be improving on that situation as well.
Yes, exactly. As you mentioned, obviously this format, in terms of the points and the number of points allotted for each Test match win, is obviously different from series to series. As you mentioned, for example, the first three series India played West Indies, South Africa, and Bangladesh. With all due respect, you expect India to win. India got 360 out of 360,
Yes.
and some of the wins against England and Australia are obviously tougher to get. Difficult teams, you go away to Australia and win, but you get lesser points. In the Ashes, also we saw in terms of how 2-2 meant that both teams got only 56 points. So it's
Yes.
obviously a bit of a mess in terms of the point system for this year. But as you mentioned, they're looking into possibly changing it for the next cycle and maybe making some changes for the point system and how much each win is valued. The other point you mentioned was after the COVID pandemic, we had these series with New Zealand, Pakistan, and New Zealand, West
And
Indies,
West
and we
Indies.
obviously
Yes.
Yes, and you obviously had the India-Australia and India-England series also coming up during the period when the cricket started again. And of course, as you mentioned, England were in contention at that time. Australia also were in contention to qualify for the final. Australia missed out by overrate, as it's famously known now. Australia missed
Yes.
out due to overrate, and of course, New Zealand had to win their home games. They were a little lucky that they had to play only home games, but they had to get the job done. And of course, once India lost to New Zealand last year in March, it became very complicated for India because
Yes.
they had to go and get wins in Australia. And of course, we all know what happened in Australia. And of course, we came back to India and we won the series comfortably. So looking into these two teams' run, so obviously we start off with New Zealand, of course, because they were the ones who qualified first, in fact, because you have to give them credit that despite the fact that they probably had slightly easier series, as you can see, they were the ones who qualified. They had a really tough start also. As you mentioned, Sri Lanka and Australia wasn't tough. It was very difficult, and the Australia series, especially at that point, did you think New Zealand could potentially qualify for the final? Because that Australia series they got beaten very badly.
Uh, there were some doubts about New Zealand after the Australia series, but that India victory gave them boost because we knew West Indies and Pakistan will be coming in, and they have away series against Bangladesh as well, which got cancelled due to pandemic. But that India series victory was the turning point for New Zealand. And coming to their away series, we all know New Zealand always do badly in Australia. And in Sri Lanka series, if you look at their performance, they chased around 250 something one match with that. And no, sorry, Sri Lanka chased down some 260. And coming to New Zealand victory, that Tom Latham's brilliant innings along with BJ Watling, then Colin de Granholm performing. So if you look at New Zealand's overall run, I would say it was mixed, but they have proven most of them wrong after the England series victory in June, which wasn't in the WTC, but still that win has given them lots of confidence booster as a team. Especially there was no Williamson, Southey, Jameson, etc. So there were some doubts, but still, this England Test series win has given them lots of confidence, and they have the we need to give to them as well because they need some luck. Every team needs some luck as well. If you take away a few matches, if you look at Australia, as I said earlier, they used to do so badly. And Sri Lanka series, they won one match, then they completely dominated the home season as well. If you look at the home season performance of Australia, Australia lost a home series. Then England lost a few test matches at home against West Indies. They lost one test match. So somewhere around New Zealand has done so well, even though home victories are also not easy to come this time because Sri Lanka lost at home, Bangladesh lost at home, Australia lost at home, even now England lost at the home. So even home victories are getting tougher as well in last few 1 year or 2 years something. Earlier there was a domination in home as well, but now it's getting you need to have a good team as well to win at home. India and New Zealand only has that track record of winning everything. India lost last series in 2013, 2012 in against England, and New Zealand lost in 2016 or 2017 something against South Africa or Australia. So we
Yes,
need to give to them that as well.
exactly. So as you mentioned, of course, yeah, New Zealand. I mean, end of the day, they managed to reach the final first, despite having
Yes.
that very bad loss against Australia in the away tour. They still managed to come back to beat India 2-0 and then to finish the job against Pakistan and West Indies. I remember that West Indies actually won in England also
Yes.
last year. They won a Test match in England, so there are no washovers. I mean, no pushovers, and of course, you've got Pakistan, who are always a tricky team to beat. So New Zealand deserved to be in the final, and rightfully so, as you mentioned. And of course, as we've seen in the past 1 week, New Zealand have gone to England. You could say they should have really won 2-0 itself because the first Test match itself, if there was no rain, you'd say that New Zealand were massive
Yes.
favourites to win that first match. And second match, they rested a bunch of players. Some of the frontline players like Tim Southey, Kane Williamson obviously was not available. BJ Watling was injured as well. So you have to say that New Zealand deserve massive credit for the way they performed. And heading into final, I'm pretty sure that they're very confident. Now, on the other hand, you've got India, of course. India have had a very, you have to say, a fun run to say because India started off like a rocket. You had 3 easy wins. India looked dominant. It almost seems certain that India will get to the final. and then you suddenly had a very bad loss against New Zealand away from home, and that kind of made the points table little tricky. And then going into the Australia series, India had to at least win one test to be really confident to qualify for the final, and we all know what happened. So just give me a some sort of a run through of what do you think happened for India in the last 2 years and how they have dominated in general to reach the final.
First three series was something brutal. We need to say that word because that West Indies tour, no one can forget how Indian Pacers dominated the West Indies batting unit, led by Jasprit Bumrah. Then home series, our batters was literally smashing everyone. Rohit Sharma, Mayank Agarwal, Virat Kohli, everyone was scoring runs. It was something. We don't have some words like utter domination or something we need to call that. And coming to New Zealand series, everyone knew it was tough because New Zealand, as I said earlier, they are a very strong unit at home. And after the that 36 all out, everyone was thinking it will be tough for India to make into the final. Including me as well, I thought India won't be making into the final because New Zealand has a smooth run, will be having a smooth run in the home series against West Indies and Pakistan. Then Australia will be going to South Africa as well, which got cancelled. And everyone thought Australia might be winning the series against India 3-0 or 3-1 something. So everyone, India's chance was looking slim, but something everyone will never forget the Gaba Test victory or MCG, then draw in Sydney, then coming back to England series at home. That first loss was a shock for everyone because after that ridiculous win in Australia, but India came back strongly in the second test match, showed how good they are at home. I think their second loss at home since 2013 something. One was against Australian Pune, and second was against this England in Chennai. So India as a team has shown how dominant they are from 2014 or 2015 when Virat Kohli came to the captaincy. Just literally smashed everyone at home. I don't think anyone had, apart from the 2017 Australia Test series, no one has given a fight for India as a in a whole Test series. Even England won that first Test match, but they were literally outbeaten in the next three Test matches. So if you take last 6-7 years under Virat Kohli or Dhoni's late end of career as a captain at home, no one has literally fight India apart from that Australia Test series in 2017. So we need to give to India the way they have played the brand of cricket under Virat Kohli and the bowlers stepping up. Even this our pace trio when got injured, there was Thakur, Siraj. Then when Jadeja got injured, Akshar Patel came in. Then Bihari batted so well. Then Rahane played a vital role. Then Rohit Sharma came as an opener, has been one of the best openers as well. He has the highest ranking as well as an opener, and he has the most runs as an opener in the WTC. So it has been a collection of everything. The system, like depth of Indian cricket, we have shown to the whole world in the Australia series. So it has been a dream run, and I hope, really hope it will be ending on a high at Southampton.
Exactly, as you mentioned, when it comes to India, it's been a crazy run. I mean, we obviously, as you mentioned, the first three series were very easy. India won it very comfortably, and then we had the loss against New Zealand, and India had to really dig deep in Australia and England. We obviously lost a bunch of players due to injuries, all those issues. Came back, youngsters where you will never see a bowling lineup of Saini, Siraj, Natarajan, Shardul Thakur, Washington Sundar ever play a test match together for India again. But then those five guys came out. You had batsmen like Hanuma Vihari, Rishabh Pant, Shubman Gill on tough away tours against Australia, against a team which are very dominant at home, to come back and fight. And as you mentioned, when it came to England, everyone thought 4-0. Okay, we beat in Australia, and Australia said, come back,
Yes.
full strength team, 4-0, 100%. First game, Australia, I mean, Joe Root, wonderful batting. England deserved to win that test match. India were under pressure. They had to win every single test in the remainder of the series. Went out there, dominated in Chennai and Ahmedabad. Both the test matches were walkovers. India just absolutely smashed England to pieces and thoroughly deserved to make the final. As Ravi Shastri mentioned, this has not been a work of just the last 2 years. And you pointed out since 2014, since under the captaincy of Virat Kohli, India have constantly built this team up from the scratch. You have a bunch of fast bowlers. I mean, we'll be talking about the team next, and we don't know who to pick as fast bowlers. We've got a bunch of all rounders. We've got spin all rounders. We've got batsmen, young batsmen coming up, and you have to say that Indian cricket at the moment, in terms of depth, is been best as it's been. I mean, I don't think the depth of Indian cricket has ever been as good as it has been in the past. So yeah, as you mentioned, it's been this good, and of course now we'll be talking about the teams. First, let's start off with New Zealand itself. They obviously had a little bit of issues in terms of injuries and some rest issues. Or you expect Kane Williamson, BJ Watling to be fit for the Test match. So talking about the lineup, they also have a small decision to make when it comes to bowling and balance what they do. So what do you think New Zealand's lineup will be?
I think the top six will be straightforward, as you mentioned. BJ Watling and Kane Williamson will be coming back. So Devon Conway and Tom Latham will be opening. Then Kane Williamson will be at number three. Taylor at number four. Henry Nicholas at number five. BJ Watling at number six. Then number seven spot is slightly tricky. They have few names like Colin de Granholm, Darren Mitchell Sandner, or picking a spinner as well, and and playing Jameson at number seven. But I believe they might be going with Colin de Granholm, because if you look at Colin de Granholm's career, he has been one of the main players in this test format system for New Zealand, for at least even in this VTC as well. The way he has played in Sri Lanka, he played some few knocks, 70 something, then coming to Australia series, even though he didn't bat really well, but his bowling was one of the main talking points of the series, mainly because you need to have that kind of a bowler when Wagner is keep attacking with these bouncers, or because he's like a wicket taking bowler, he needs that stability at the other end. So Cole de Granholm might be that bowler New Zealand will be looking forward, and he deserves to play in the final as well. The way he has performed in Test format last few years, so I think they might be going with Colin de Granholm at number seven. And then next four will be Kyle Jamieson, Neil Wagner, Tim Southey, and Trent Bolt.
Yeah, you mentioned that number seven spot is a bit of an issue. I mean, not an issue, but you can say they have a number of options they can pick. Darren Mitchell has done well whenever called upon, and of course, as mentioned, de Grandhomme has been a long-serving player for New Zealand who's done well, especially with the ball. And his kind of bowling could potentially trouble some of India's top order, because you expect India to be wary of Neil Wagner, Trent Bolt, Tim Southey, Jameson, but someone like de Grandhomme could be that wicket taker in the middle, taking a couple of wickets, and could be a game changer. So as you said, I think it'll be tough for someone like Santner to walk in. I think New Zealand will New Zealand will prefer to go with the extra seaming option, and they'll want to play all four out of Jameson, Wagner, Bolt, and Tim Southey. I mean, what a bowling lineup that is! You've got a left arm bounce, you've got a left arm swing bowler, you've got a left arm pacer who bowls fast, who can bowl bouncer. You've got a pure swing bowler in Tim Southey, and you've got the extra height and bounce of Jameson. It's almost like a dream bowling lineup, and you've got someone like de Grandhomme potentially. So New Zealand's team, as you mentioned, looks very settled and looks set in terms of balance and in terms of what they can do heading into the final. On the other hand, India, obviously, I think the top six, I think for India as well, looks pretty settled. There's a little bit of confusion as to whether India should play two spinners, play with one spinner. And when it comes to the fast bowling slot, you'd say Bumrah is a certainty. The two out of Ishant Sharma, Siraj, and Mohammad Shami. So how do you think India will go in terms of their level?
Same as New Zealand, the top six is straightforward. Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Chadeshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Rahane, then Rishabh Pant. And number seven will be, as we need to have that stability. So Jadeja and Ashwin will be walking into the ground, mainly because they have three left-handers in top five. So Ashwin will be playing a crucial role. And we need to know the value of Jadeja against tailenders, because we haven't used Jadeja much against tailenders. He has that knack of picking wickets against tailenders, because if you look at since 2018, India has been troubling with these tailenders. Like Philander played a crucial part in South Africa series. Sam Curran, everyone knows that. Then Patrick Cummins played a vital role in 2018 as well. So someone like Jadeja has that ability, but India hasn't used him much well. I hope Kohli will be using him more often from this WTC and England series as well, because he has that knack of picking the tailenders wicket. And coming to fast bowlers, it has been the big talking point, I would say, since the team selected or from Australia series. Everyone, after once India was qualified into the final, everyone was thinking how India will be going with the pace battery because Jasprit Bumrah is almost sealed. I hope Ishan Sharma will be sealed as well because the way he has been bowling since 2018, 2013, he deserves that spot. But the last question is that whether it will be Shami or Siraj. On current form, I would say Siraj is slightly ahead because the way he has been bowling in Australia or in IPL 2020 or IPL 2021. But I still believe this Shami deserves to play because this pace trio has been the backbone of Indian pace battery since 2018. The way these three guys has been bowling on partnership or contributing to Indian cricket deserves to play in this WTC final because they might not be playing in the next WTC final. We don't know whether how these guys will be going with their fitness or after 2 years. So, and Siraj just came to the scene in the Australia series. I'm not undermining Siraj or anything. Siraj has been one of the best bowlers for India in all formats. Like if you take IPL, if you take Test cricket, after Jasprit Bumrah, it should be Siraj. Second name should be Siraj on based on performance in terms of fast bowling. But I still have this feeling that Shami, Ishant, and Bumrah deserves to play in the final only because they have been carrying this fast bowling unit since 2018 from the when the overseas tour started in South Africa.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. As you mentioned, top six is pretty sealed, and India needs both Jadeja and Ashwin for both batting depth as well as you mentioned the fact that Southampton potentially could offer some term heading into days 3, 4, 5, and you've got five or I mean out of the top six, you've got three left-hand batsmen, and we all know how good Ashwin is against left-hand batsmen. Jadeja, I mean, for what he offers with bat and ball is almost undroppable for the balance he offers to the team, and he's obviously got to play. And as you mentioned, when it comes to fast bowling, even I agree. I think Ishant Sharma and Bumrah, there should be no question about those two. Those two deserve to play. They've been outstanding for Indian cricket for a very long time, and they obviously will play, I expect. The third seamer slot, I think it's a tough one. I think the only reason I'm slightly tilting towards Siraj is, and I don't mind if Shami plays, is because Siraj has the fitness, and I'm not sure Shami's played that much cricket recently. I know he played the IPL. He did not look that fit during the IPL, and before that, he got injured in the first Test match, in the Adelaide Test match, when he had that broken hand in the 36 all-out game, and he hasn't played Test cricket since then. That's the only concern I have with Mohammad Shami. If Shami is fit and available, I can completely understand if India go in with Shami. But if he's not 100%, then I tend to go with Siraj. So obviously, that's one call that India will have to take. Now, finally, both teams, I mean, New Zealand have not won an ICC World Cup as such. I know they won Champions Trophy in 2000. India haven't won an ICC trophy since 2013. We've been to semi-finals, we've been to finals, but just not being able to get over the final hurdle. We are finally in another final, the first World Test Championship final, of course. How important is it for these two sides to get over it mentally? Because it's a tough thing, right? India will know in the back of their heads that they haven't won an ICC trophy for a very long time. And for New Zealand, they'll have the scars of the 2019 World Cup also, what happened in the final. So in terms of from mental side of things, how big do you think this final is potentially going to be, a mental battle?
I think these two teams has been more consistent. If you look at since 2000, this 2015 ODI World Cup, New Zealand reached the finals and India reached the semi-final. In 2016 T20 World Cup, both teams reached the semi-final. Then 2017 ICC Champions Trophy, India reached the final. New Zealand reached the semis, and 2019 one played in the semi-final, another played in the final. So these two teams has been in and around in knockout stages since 2015. Even India has been in the knockout stages from 2013 as well, as you mentioned. So someone need to break that barrier. And if you look at both deserves to be in the final as well, we have discussed earlier. But if you look at mentally, both team deserves to win the final as well. Because these two sides has been going through lots of pressure in the knockout stages, losing there, losing here. Even both teams has a pretty bad record as well in England. If you look at the history in last 4 or 5 years, so I really hope India wins the WTC final. But even And better team has been India as well. If you look at the run in WTC, India has been doing so well. Apart from that one New Zealand series, India has been dominating everything. That Australia series, we have ups and downs because we all know away series is tough. Beating going to Australia as well tough. So we need to consider that India has played so well through the WTC phase compared to New Zealand. So as if you look at the dream run, India deserves to win the WTC, but we don't know. We have seen that 2019 World Cup semi-final as well. What we have seen, just a bad 30 minutes or something like that. The top three failed. India wrapped up. So that might be happening again as well. We don't know if conditions are overcast. Then Kyle Jamieson, Trent Bolt, Tim Southey, Colin de Granholm will be, maybe they might be running through the Indian batting order. So we can't predict anything. It all depends on the conditions they are going to play.
Yeah, I agree. I think both teams will be desperate to break the duck. I think one of the teams will definitely, by next week, they will
Yes.
hopefully win the trophy. And as you mentioned, India, on paper, the stronger side, the more consistent team in terms of what they've achieved, both home and away, how they've developed as a team. But of course, it's just one game. We saw what happened in 2019 World Cup, as you mentioned. And in one game, anything can happen. It'll change in a matter of just one good session here or there for either team. And they can potentially go on and win the World Test Championship. So obviously, it's going to be a tough, close game. Just one couple of final bits. One player who you think could potentially be a game changer for India first, and then a game changer for New Zealand. One player, if you had to pick.
It's really tough to pick one player from New Zealand. I think it should be Kane Williamson. Everyone knows his bad phase in England or in overseas tours. He has been inconsistent. So it's high time to it's high time for Kane Williamson to stand up and deliver in a big stage. Even he has done really well in 2019 World Cup. But in test matches, if you look at the Australia tour or in Sri Lanka, or coming to in the first test against England, he has been that Kane Williamson everyone knows. So it's a really high time for Kane Williamson, and Kane Williamson has a pretty good record as well against India. So if you compare all these three formats, so it's high time for Kane Williamson to stand up and deliver in the big stage. Especially in Test cricket, so it will be huge for New Zealand as well. If Kane Williamson can deliver, then that confidence will be there for everyone, other players moving forward into that WTC final. And coming to India, I believe it will be Rishabh Pant. We all know what he did in Australia, what he did to England, and even in the practice match, he scored around 120 something. So he will be high on confidence and that left-hander factor as well. Because India has that top five right-handers, and Rishabh Pant will be coming at number six. So he'll be going to be that X factor to get quick runs, even if it is an overcast conditions. A quick fire 30s or 40s can change the match, because we if it is overcast, we are not expecting a team to score 350 or 400. So mostly it will be 250s or 260. So that quick fire 40s or 45 can change the match. So I believe it will be Rishabh Pant from India and Kane Williamson from New Zealand.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think the conditions also in terms of the forecast also they're expecting rain to definitely play a part. And when you expect such conditions, it's difficult to, as you mentioned, see 350 play 400, 400 plays 450,
Yes.
things like that. So it's very because it's going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be even closer. Personally, I cannot wait for the final. Just a few days to go, and I think every cricket fan is very excited for it. As you mentioned, there's a lot to look forward to. Both teams have got quality bowling lineups. They've got some wonderful batsmen on both teams. Two teams high on confidence. India will be positive from what they've achieved in Australia, what they achieved in England against England at home. And when it comes to New Zealand, they'll be taking a lot of confidence from what happened in the last 10 days, going and dominating England in England. It's a very difficult thing to do. They've managed to do that as well. So two teams high on confidence. Two teams will be hoping to break their ICC trophy duck, and I'm sure it's going to be a fascinating final, and I can't wait for it. So thanks a lot, John. Thanks a lot for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as well. Please do like, share, subscribe to the channel, and please send in your predictions as well. What do you think will happen in the final? So thanks a lot, John. Absolute pleasure having you on.
Thanks a lot for inviting me as well.